I look over at my brother in the driver's seat. We are in agreement. It's hot. My legs stick to the leather seats from the heat. I want to roll down my window because it's killing me. It doesn't matter if the AC is cranked up as far as it will go. I need fresh air, but I keep my window up to keep out all the dust flying everywhere. You can't escape it. Dirt covers the roads, it floats in the air, it surrounds the city, and makes Ojinaga. It rolls up next to my car window as we roll down Boulevard Libre Comercio, and I stare into the brown cloud. It saturates everything a burnt orangey brown color. Tiny specks of sunlight shine through it and then immediately scatter as the car gets a green light and keeps going. The dust doesn't really bother most people here. It's part of the life. You just deal with it. That's all Hinaga is, dirt and rocks. However the city is strangely beautiful during the day. The streets are alive with cars of bright colors. People feel the sidewalks and mesh into this blur of colors as we drive by. Each time we stop, we are bombarded with offers to buy things. Gums, hats, CDs, necklaces, food. On the street corner, a tired Indian woman shields her child from the sun with her large, colorful scarf, and a little boy begs for money. His hair is matted to his head with dirt and sweat, and I wish I had some money to give him. Someone drops a couple of pesos into his dirty hands, and he skips away to count his winnings under a huge palm tree. For the longest time, I wondered why all the palm trees had their bases painted white. Apparently it wards off ants or something. When the dust finally settles, I crack my window and let the fresh air hit me. Something about this city. The way everyone walks with a different rhythm. The way it endlessly smells good and is always alive. It's a whole nother world compared to the places I've lived. My brother turns the corner, and now we head into downtown. The square is crawling with people. I look around at the familiar buildings. They all have one thing in common. They are all made of cinder block. Some have boards taped over the windows, others are crumbling. But some are holding strong and have been there since as long as I can remember. We pass the most popular ice cream shop, El Tropico, and the giant church next to it. I think to myself how not everyone can really appreciate the structure of a city like this. Not like some of us do. Some people see a worn-out city and a whole lot of Mexicans. I see a place full of history, alive with culture, breathing with a completely different way of living that even I still fully don't understand. The day is beautiful and bright. It lights up everything. But when the sun goes down, the city transforms. There is never a night when downtown Ojinaga is as quiet as opposed to the hill where most houses are found. Deep in the darkened mounds of dust and rock, overlooking the city, all of the bright lights make it look like a mass of lit-up gold. Doors get locked around the time the sun goes down. Gates get shut, dogs are alert and ready. Like Candy, my brother's dog. Willing to attack anything he points to and says, "Chingalo!" like he was speaking to a human instead of a pit bull whose ears were now pricked up and honing in on every sound our footsteps made as we climbed in and out of my brother's large gray pickup truck. We slammed the door shut. We're ready to tear through the invisible curtain of silence that is La Colonia and fade into honking horns, tires squealing, stoplights flashing, and the familiar sight of some drunk moron leaning out of his window to whistle at every girl he sees cruise by. By day, the city is scorching, but by night, the breeze comes in swiftly. Now there is a completely different crowd of people that keep the city up. Party animals, night owls, and of course, the mafia. Don't bother looking around, you'd never recognize them. They dress like you and I. They blend into the crowd with their stylish hats and their alligator boots anyone would be jealous of. They are like invisible people walking down the street, just another face in the crowd. The only thing is, the danger level has now gone from a 3 to a 6. I don't know this as we cruise down La Trasviña. My only concern is that we do something fun. I look around the dark streets. Splotches of it are lit up by the occasional street lamp, and the air glows from the stoplights above. I tap my fingers on the dashboard and happily ride along in silence. It was with confusion that I first noticed a flicker from the corner of my eye. Was it just me, or were those store lights on just a few seconds ago? I narrow my eyes and shrug. They must have been off and I didn't notice. As I turn away, another section of buildings cut out. Their lights do not fade. They cut off instantly, as if a switch has been pulled, and my eyes widen as I watch each street lamp go out. Everything, in little snippets, quickly goes out. I stare out of the car window in curiosity. My brother steers the vehicle to the nearest parking spot and cuts the engine off. He rolls up the windows, and our headlights join the city in this new blanket of darkness taking over. In the silence, the sound of the car locking makes me jump, and I look around to watch the street lamps flicker out. Various shops are suddenly closing, and the shop owners hastily put chains on all of their doors. The city is shutting down out of nowhere, and I look at my brother in question. He has a very hard look on his face, but says nothing just yet. His eyes scan the city through our tinted windows, and he finally turns to me. It's a blackout. I look around in the darkness that only a few minutes ago was lit up like a Christmas tree. When the mafia is out doing business, he goes on, and they're going to take someone out, they black out the city. It's a scare tactic, and it lets the city know who runs it. Sends a message. I watch him crank up the volume on the radio, and static fills the car. Everything. City lights, radio stations, stores, they keep tabs everywhere and have connections. The system is corrupt, and they drive it. I stare ahead at the barred-up shop. The streets are empty and barren. Like an invisible hand has plucked everyone from every street corner and wiped it all away. So, someone is being offed right now? My brother nods. The mafia doesn't play. They are here to do their business. You get in with the wrong crowd and you're not safe. I mean, you're a girl, so you don't want to be walking around OJ in the middle of the night anyway, but it's always better to know who you're around. Piss them off and you're done. He shook his head as if the words were tragic and stared at me. They don't care if you're a girl or a guy, young or old. If you're in the way, they will move you. I look around the thick veil of black and stare off into the distance, like the harder I look, it might make it easier to hear someone going down. I hear nothing. Just the low static of the radio and my uncomfortable shifting. The silence is endless, and I sit there unsure of whether it's even a good idea to move or not. Somewhere in the short distance, only miles away maybe, someone was being killed. Maybe shot. Maybe stabbed. I picture the Mexican mafia in their pressed Levi's jeans and their designer button-up shirts pointing a gun at a shadow on the floor. But I pause. I don't even want to picture the rest of that. 5 minutes, we sat in the dark car. It felt like an eternity, but eventually the stoplight across the street slowly flickered on and off, on and off. On and off until it had finally regained its electric current and beamed solid red. In the car, much time had passed between me and this silence. But outside, shops creaked open their doors, cars started their engines, and the city began to wake up like time hadn't even stopped. Like we weren't one more person short in this city. Like blackouts were a thing of fiction,